Okay, y'all. I'm about fairness and pretty much the right thing and stuff. I'm going to show you something. I just come across it. Got an email from Planet of the Vapes. They're having a 20% off sale in Storts and Bickle. I thought, you know what? Maybe a volcano might be good. Started watching YouTube for the volcanoes, and I'm paging through here. And I already have this ariser here. I've seen this here. What's this? Something like a volcano? So I searched YouTube for Storts and Bickle Volcano Classic versus Hybrid or Ariser XQ2. Okay? Because that's what that is. They have this one here. That's their hybrid. And then I was looking for the other one, which is the classic. All right? Look at the price of this. Now, look at the price of the Venti, which is, sort of like the riser. That's $239 with the 20% off. That's $359 with the 20% off. Now, remember this. This is going to be very important. $359 for the Venti vaporizer. Now, let's watch this. I told you I was comparing. I got to turn this off. Okay? Because I was doing some research trying to compare them. We're going to hit play here. Now, it says the truth about expensive vaporizers. Are they worth it? It is on YouTube, Planet of the Vapes, 2 months ago. What happened? I don't know what happened. Well, that didn't work. There we go.
I've recently done a couple of videos on inexpensive vaporizers. We've got one out there that's best vapes under.
Hopefully you can hear it.
Best vapes under $50. And the reality is you can get some good products for that price, which begs the top name vaporizer, $39 after this on the fly. It's the everyday prices. Stores and Bickle might be the most.
Okay, here it is.
I feel like I have a desktop vape in my pocket. This is the one that I grabbed.
This, he says, Venti, $449.
Stores and Bickle.
What's that say?
Well-known vape company on the planet. And the
$449
flagship portable dryer vaporizer. So I would actually expect this to be kind of expensive, and it is at $450. At Planet of the Vapes, the everyday price is $382.
Did you hear that?
Palatable. Some of the tech in this vape is unlike
Let's
tech.
go back a little bit there.
And this is the one that I grabbed.
$449.
Bickle might be the most well-known vape company on the planet, and the Venti is their flagship portable dryer vaporizer. So I would actually expect this to be kind of expensive, and it is at $450. At Planet of the Vape.
Planet of the Vape's price, $382. Look here. They're trying to pull this shit 20% off. That's not what they sell for. That's pretty fucking shady. Misleading. They're every fucking day price. Why isn't it 20% off of what they sell it for? So $360, $23 difference, price difference. And they want you to believe $23 That's not even 10%. That's 7%. 6.5% off. So you basically pay for your tax. And they fucking want you to believe it's 20% off. Right there. Their everyday price. They just said it 2 months ago. Is that a company you want to do business with? Not saying you should, not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying, is that a company how honest is that company? Is that a company that you want to do business with? So I'm saying there's so much bullshit in this industry, you got to watch out. You buy the glass, no device. Do a ball vape, then you don't need all this shit. You know, after seeing their games, like I said, I was thinking maybe now, maybe Christmas, I don't know. And I did purchase from them already, I believe. So that makes me wonder how misleading their Christmas sale was when I first started purchasing from them. So I don't know if I call this Planet of the Vapes pricing games. I don't know what to call it. To me, it's very much misleading. You know, that's not what you sell for every day. You know, I hope so. You know, I really hope some lawyer that does class action lawsuits see this come after. I believe that could be illegal. I don't know. The last video I put like this about them bullshit shipping charges, class action lawsuits coming up about that. I'm telling you that right now, and I do know that for a fact. And that was after I made my video. A law firm in Washington, D.C. is handling it. Who knows if somebody will see this video. You know, I don't know how illegal or shady this is. But to me, it's a little unethical and a little shady to be playing these fucking pricing games. And I imagine, you know, a lot of people my age, which is a growing segment, which is the highest growing segment by a long shot, that's spending money to buy these devices because they have them. You know, in case, I'm just saying this in case any younger people are watching this. You know, people my age usually don't go for that misleading bullshit unless they've just been that brainwashed by what's going on today. Well, today, I mean, for the past 20, 30 years, the eroding of everything. Walmart's the devil. The government's the devil. It's against its own people, in my opinion. And what was the downfall? I think it was the women's lib movement back in history. But before the women's lib movement, there were hardly ever any divorces or big families. One person working or a farmer could easily take care of the family. But one thing you had then, you had good, strong work ethics. Hardworking people. And if any Canadians are watching, I'm going to tell you something too. Back then, I worked in a steel mill, and I mean, it was probably 80 years old then, the buildings. So one of the production lines we had, we perfected it, and they shipped it up to one of their plants up in Canada to manufacture. They wouldn't work it. It sort of come from the Northeast of the United States. They were putting out 1/3 of the production we were. Too heavy for them. Okay, then the company built a new plant. We were union. The company built a non-union plant in South Carolina, brand new. And I seen the writing on the walls. And I got out of there before they could get rid of me. I got out of there probably a couple of years too soon, but still. At least I made my changes. I didn't have them make it for me and go crazy. That's the way I looked at it. Yeah, I built a plant South Carolina, another one in Kentucky, no unions either place. And we're union, we're getting, hell, this back in 1980, we're getting $16, $18 an hour. Well, I shouldn't say 80, but 83, 85. And if you were on piece work, you were doing $23, $25, $28 an hour, depending what job you were on. But you worked. Talking about production line with 100 pound pieces of steel. Pick them up, stack them, turn them. You know, you're talking 100, 150 pieces an hour. When the thing was running, well, average was probably 100 between the heavier ones and the lighter ones. One of the worst jobs in there, but you had to work it. Canada wouldn't. They couldn't get that kind of work out of Canada. South Carolina come when it got hot. They said, "Screw this. We ain't going home. We ain't working for this." And they go home. In Kentucky, they're learning their lesson, started automating it. Then you had Reagan and the federal government when the air traffic controllers went out and strike. They made a law or made it illegal that they're not allowed to go out and strike. And that was the start of the breaking up of the unions. Back then we had unions where we had fair wages. You know, how many average people without college education are out there? Let's see, what would, just say $18 an hour? What would that be from 1985 till today? Let's see, the wages, 1985, just say minimum wage was $5 an hour. Say it triple. You know, and every year you get, you know, say every 3 years you're gonna get at least a 3% overall raise. Probably do that in a year plus cost of living. So every 3 years, say 5%. Okay, from 85, 86, 87, 88. Okay, that'd be 1820, say an hour. And in 91, that would be 1844. Yeah, it would be starting like $25 today or more. Probably more. Probably $35. But we were 3 times the minimum wage plus. And the company was still making money. But all these rich people come in and want to buy stocks in the company. You know, a couple people that put a lot of money in it to get a lot of shares. And then they want to start telling the board what to do. So maybe 3 or 4 people get together and, start going after smaller stock companies. Just people getting richer and richer. Broke up the unions so that way the stocks keep making more money. And who has stocks? Not the poor people. And a lot of you my age aren't poor. You already are middle class, are doing pretty good. I'm dirt poor. Thanks to a drunk driver. Yeah, tell me what you think about Planet of the Vapes and their pricing. Do you think it's fair? You think it's shady? Think it's illegal? Think it's fair? I shouldn't say their pricing, but their sale. That's what I meant to say. Well, the pricing related to the sale. $20% off of the Venti vaporizer. But here, Mr. Jerry just said it was Their everyday price was $382. So I don't know. I know what I think about it, but what can I do about it? Except try not to buy anything from them. If you do, make sure you shop around. Because they play pricing games, big pricing games. And to me, that's unethical. And to a lot of people my age, that's unethical. But we just didn't do that. You know, people were a lot, and companies were a lot more truthful 30, 40 years ago. Life was so much better. I mean, it really was. You go in the store where you're going to spend your hard-earned money, there'd be people there to help you. And then the store started putting less and less people in, and there became lines to get help. And the Walmart comes along, and hey, you can return anything here, and they put all these places out of business. Now you look at them, things are slowly changing about the return policy. You know, I sell product, there's single-use product on Amazon and eBay and on a website. I don't have that problem any place but Amazon. Amazon, I probably have 10, probably more than that, probably 15% return. And now the economy's starting to get worse. I've seen the return rate go up. So I just raised prices. I'm going to have to raise prices again. Because there's so much fraud on Amazon. And Amazon keeps taking more money. As a seller, Amazon takes that price you see of mine. If it's, say, a $28, $29 item on Amazon, not my cost included, not my cost counting the product or anything. Here's the only thing that's involved with the difference between what I get from Amazon and what I sell for on Amazon. Amazon's selling fees. I don't advertise on Amazon. Cost to ship it in. They have good rates with UPS. So for me to ship in 60 pieces in a box, say 20 by 20 by 20, that box might cost me $15 to ship to them. Maybe 18, but just say 16. So that puts me in the negative for this box already. About a year or two ago, Amazon started charging a placement fee. So in other words, they took this product and moved it to another one of their warehouses. Say there's a product in Southern California, and that's it. That's where I sent it into. Now they charge me and say they want to move it and have it in a warehouse in Massachusetts. Now they charge me for shipping it to Massachusetts. or Washington or Florida, you know, wherever they want to divide that big box up at. They didn't used to do that. And that fees them basically as much as what it costs me to ship it in. And that's just in the past 2 years. Plus they raised the percentage, the selling percentage, and the shipping percentage. So out of this $28 item, I'll get, say, $15. So they're getting almost half of what this basically a $30 item sells for on Amazon. One third to a half. That's if you don't advertise. If you advertise, they're taking more of that. But Amazon has it so easy to list and everything else on. I think it's easier. I don't list on Walmart, but I tried Shopify store, and that was like an advertisement nightmare, spam nightmare. You know, I have my email address for like 30 years, older than dirt. I'll bet you I get 500 pieces of spam a day, and I got to browse through it to make sure I don't miss nothing. It's crazy. It's information overload. Like I said 20 years ago, computers were going to ruin society. When you have these kids, probably longer than that, because I was into computers 1990. I said, these kids are starting to play on the computer back then. Not out in the field playing ball like we were when we were kids. Young adults, you know, hanging out, park, skating rink, whatever. You know, going town for the Friday or Saturday night cruise on the weekend. Just circuit around town, you know. Or different parties. 3, 4 people get together, you know, friend's house, and just hang out and have a good time. Yeah, most of us were drinking and stuff back then, underage. But we didn't go anywhere. We stayed there at the house. We basically weren't getting in trouble, running around getting in trouble. Maybe 5% of the people did. Times were much easier back then, and much better. In the mid-'80s, mid-'90s, all the immigration come in. I want to say in the 80s, a lot of Spanish come in. I think maybe maybe they were Cuba. I don't know. I don't know where they're from. I just know in the city I grew up in for the first, say, 15 years, it was blacks on one side of the railroad tracks, whites on the other, and basically that's where they lived, in this city, you know. And they each had their rough hangouts, you know, but basically if you weren't causing trouble, you know, if you were white, you could go in the black area, no problem at all. And if you were black, you could go in the white area, well, there were some assholes, but for the most part, they go in the white area, you know, if they're not causing trouble, no problem. You know, and that was wrong on both sides. And then all of a sudden, You know, there weren't murders every day. Hell, I was like 15 before I heard my first murder, and that was like 30, 40 miles away. I mean, this world it's terrible. It's fucking terrible. And it just breaks my heart to see these fucking games that these companies are playing. Just, you that desperate, you got to mislead. 20% off. That ain't no fucking 20% off. You may call it that. I don't. $20 off would be 20% off of $382, what you sell that device for every day. Right, Jerry? I used to watch pretty many of your videos. I don't know if you're the owner or just the spokesperson or what. Or you're reading what they're telling. I don't know. At this point, I don't care. I mean, if you're the owner, I think it's worth, because I don't trust you. If you're for hired and reading a script, it's your job. It's something I got to think about. But you're still tolerating what I would consider would be a fucking lie. So this other stuff, when you talk about this device or that device, how much of a lie is that? If this is your company or you have anything to do with the pricing, which is going to be on the back of my mind. But either way, it shouldn't, because, I got to get in my mind to double check that, that this pricing's misleading. It's only going to be 5, 6, 7% off. Not no 20% off. Best desktop under $200. Best desktop under $200. How can you have two different best desktops under $200? As far as I know, there's only one best. Up to 35% off, Where you get 10% off? Yeah, right there it says 20% off. That's so fucking misleading. In my opinion, because your everyday price is $382. Fucking bunch of jerks, morons. Assholes. I don't give a fuck. Sue me. I mean, jeez. Give my opinion. If my opinion gets sued, well, go fuck yourself. But yeah, with the women's lib movement, when they wanted to go out there and work, you started having divorce rates go up. And then it would take two people to take care of a household. Because you start getting inflation. Back then, you got your ass beat as a kid. And then they slowly stopped that. Then basically you can't beat a kid no more. And if you'd act up in school, this is why there was an education back then. If you acted up in school, teachers would grab a hold of you and they'd beat the crap out of you. Either with their fists, with a wooden paddle. I know if you're young, you know what a fucking paddle is. And at home, you got beat with a belt or Hot Wheel tracks or whatever. Yeah, and depending what it is, the teacher will grab a hold and just throw you up against the wall. Someone would pull your hair. Fuck yeah. And if you were bigger, or you just thought you were a tough kid, they'd take you out in the hall and beat the crap out of you. To knock you down a peg or two. And that's the way it was. But you learn. Teachers could actually teach. And now look at it here in the United States. Half the people going to school can't even talk the same language. You got to be in this country, English has been the dominant language of the United States. You need to learn English. And if you can't talk English to them, can't talk English and you want to too well and you want to, or you can't talk English and you a bunch of other idiots want to say, oh, well, it's the United States. It's a free country. Guess what? Go back to wherever the hell you come from. Fuck you. So there you have it. Let me know if Planet of the Vapes pricing or their sale pricing is truthful. Let me know what you think. And remember, 3 bowls a day keeps the doctor away.